Welcome to Mini Big's channel. So in autumn of 2022, I was asked if I wanted to go to Milan on Le Show de Record to do a Guinness World Record hosted by Jerry, who is an amazing host. So my record was to assemble 20 burgers in under 2 minutes. So when I first started doing the video, I had the buns separated. Little did I know down the line that was going to change. But yeah, at the beginning, I started to practice like this. There are rules and regulations you have to follow, and I had to put 5 pieces of burger together. I am with my first practice, which failed miserably. So what next? I realised that my buns were too round. Now, I was having to bake these buns, make the burgers, make sure everything was flat, because when you're doing everything in a hurry, as you can see here, when you're making things small, they rise, they go into little round balls, the buns have trouble staying flat. So I knew that there was lots of elements that I had to overcome before I could even start practicing the 2-minute record. I asked for a lot of help. I went on some lives. People didn't know what I was doing. I had to keep it a secret, so I was trying to run my business alongside it and do my videos, and it was super stressful that I couldn't talk to anyone about it. So here I am making an absolute hash of it. Honestly, you've no clue how stressful it was at the beginning. I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this before I even started. So in came 2023, and I knew I only had 6 weeks left to do this. Things had changed. Some of the rules had changed. I was still trying to make my buns flatter. I'd switched from burger sauce to ketchup, just in case it's not known worldwide. And we switched out the lettuce, and we'd introduced gherkins. Here I am practicing the full 20 burgers, and I'd actually managed to get them all to sit on top of their buns. Here's Lilo, she was watching throughout the process. So I just kept practicing this. So days and days of practicing, and the mess, guys, I can't even tell you, there was stuff everywhere, and this was before I had to make my mini burgers. But soon the mess got less, and I tightened everything, as you can see. I still wasn't happy about these 2 lines and the cheese where it was placed. So I decided that I was going to try and change it up again. Should we use toothpicks? Toothpicks were in the rules. I could use toothpicks if I wanted. The producers thought it might be better if I tried with toothpicks for a while, because that way, if the bun basically came off any of them, I'd be disqualified. So I started thinking, could I actually use a toothpick to put on the buns? Is that going to speed up the time? So I practiced with that. I practiced all different ways. As you can see, one little thing goes wrong when you're working with things in a tight little space and they're small. It just sets your mind off, and you've got that clock ticking. So here I am practicing sticking in with the toothpicks, but as you can see, they were jabbing me because I'm having to lean over them, and 2 next to each other, they're falling over, and I just thought, you know what, that is too stressful with the toothpicks. I need to make my buns even flatter, and I need to find a better way. So I tried different variations with the cheeses and the gherkins, different types of gherkins, different sizes, small ones, fatter ones, thinner ones. It was just such a long process to work out. Whilst I hadn't told anybody what I was doing, I was asking for advice in lives about how to make burgers flat buns, because buns are so hard to get right. Whilst toothpicks were allowed or not allowed, whichever one you preferred, the producers of the show thought that it may still be best if I can get the toothpicks, because I don't think they had faith that I could actually make the buns stay on top of each other. So I decided to start working in a line, like you can see here, going up and down, and that was making me feel so much better. You remember me saying that the rules changed? Well, the buns had to be assembled. They could be cut, but I had to separate them before I started assembling them. So several months in, and I was having to pretty much start learning how to take the buns off before, which completely messed my routine, and it was already February and I was going to Milan in a couple of weeks, so the pressure was on. The buns were coming out flat sometimes, round other times, same with the burgers. It was getting pretty stressful, and I was still trying to have to go about my normal day, doing all my normal things, my videos, my work, etc, etc. So I was stressed out. And twinned with the fact it was like minus 4 or 5 degrees in the UK at this time, and I was wearing about 6 jumpers. And I haven't even told you about my disguise yet, have I? Oh no, so I'll tell you a little story about that whilst I'm dressing some more of these burgers. So I am anonymous at the moment on my socials. People don't know what I look like. So I knew I was going to have to go in some kind of disguise that looked a little bit like my cartoon character, that is Minnie. So I also had that weighing heavily on my mind. So this was my last week of filming. My kitchen was pretty much like this for 2-3 weeks solid. I was just leaving the same burgers and buns out and practicing on stale stuff, just for not wasting, and that was the last time I assembled burgers. So now to pack up my little kitchen in a suitcase and nail check the burgers out, deconstructed, and off to Manchester Airport with my mate to Milan, where we were collected at the airport. There's my things in my case. I've never been so happy to see a case. Imagine if all my mini kitchen things had been lost. I was greeted at the airport by someone from a production company who took me to the studio to get all the things I had to get to make my bread, etc. Now that's a whole different YouTube video. I had to make all the burgers and all the buns, including the dough from scratch, before going to the studio. Tune in for my next episode where I'm going to take you on the studio and see what happens to the record.